Good morning, you all. Good morning, you all. And I mean you all, not a U-Haul. I mean a you all. And welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome aboard on a lovely, now let's concentrate about this one. Thank you, Greg. I assume that we have sound. Okay. Today's Thursday. All right, you got that? I don't think anybody knew today was Thursday. The two original Baltimore Orioles, Gil Cone, Billy Hunter, I remember. And, let's just, you may have heard my Don Larson story. Chuck Cottier is the 82nd oldest player. Okay, here's the thing. It was a Monday. It was October 8th, I believe. And, I live in Queens, Fresh Meadows, New York. Walking distance to come home for lunch. I came home for lunch on that day. And my mother said to me, Lenny, you want to stay home and watch the game. Stay home and watch the baseball game. Stay home from school and watch the World Series. Are you kidding me? What do you think the odds of that happening in today's world, where your mother would say, stay home from school and watch the World Series? Well, I did it. She sat on the couch. I sat on the floor. She was peeling a grapefruit, and we watched the World Series. And I don't have to go look for a replay of the World Series. No, I don't have to go for it. I don't even know if there is probably only one where you can see the entire game, and that's in my mind. Okay? Yep. That day, who knew that was the day that could be etched in my kitchen table in my brain. All right? So there you go. Good morning to you all. Good morning to Greg, who's back after a lengthy 2 days off. Dale, good morning to you, my friend. Nice to see you. The amazing Dr. Dennis Timko, who has enabled me to walk again with, I put stuff in my shoes, and I'm able to walk, okay? I'm also, thanks to Dennis Timko, I'm an eighth of an inch taller. Yeah, even with I measured. So, Dennis, thank you so much. Not for helping my foot. Yeah, Billy Hunter was a former Yankee, by the way, traded to Baltimore. Yeah, so I'm actually, I think an eighth of an inch, maybe a little bit less taller. George is here, who will never be taller than he is today. Kevin, Unholy Toledo, and a cast of thousands. And the guest Blanche is right there next to her man, okay? So let's get right, let's get right to it. So that's my Don Larson story, and wow, who would know? Okay, who would have known that would be the highlight of my life, just about. Okay, pretty interesting. Now, a couple of things. Now, the Arizona Diamondbacks, as good a job as, and we're going to be talking about the Atlanta Braves today. We're going to be doing one team a day. For 30 days. How about that? Even if we have to do some Saturday and Sunday shows. And we'll be on Sirius Radio, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. I don't even know when it starts. Andy and I may be doing a couple of preview shows before the baseball comes rolling around officially on Sirius, but we'll see. Arizona Diamondbacks looking for a center fielder. And they could be the trading partner for Starling Marte. They continue to be connected. And every time I talk to somebody and I ask, it could happen, that would allow them to move Ketel Marte back from center field to second base. That's where the Diamondbacks really prefer to use him. There's no question about it. So DK Lush has joined us. Good morning to the DK. And guess who's here? Holy cow! I didn't even hear the footsteps. The pitter-patter of her little feet. And that's Andrea. Good morning to Chris Gallo. DK Lush. Donkey Okie is here. I know you were here yesterday too, Donkey. And Michael Etch in the kitchen table, good morning to you all. Gets Vicky as well. All right, George wanted to be 5'9". All right, that's it. Get me. I need another half inch. But I don't know if you can supply that. You're a foot doctor, right? Okay. Anyway, getting back to it. Ha ha ha. All right, Andy's gonna hit me over the freaking head. All right, here we go. Let's get it. So anyway, we're talking about Marte. Now, Kevin Pillar could be another candidate for the Diamondbacks on the free agent market, but Marte could potentially be a candidate on the trade market. That's for sure. Marte likely will not come cheap in terms of prospects. All right, and there's no evidence right now, according to John Heyman, no evidence that the Mets and the Pirates, although they exchanged names on Marte. Brandon Nimmo's name came up, but the Pirates prefer prospects. Other teams known to have checked in on Marte could be the Diamondbacks, and I don't even know about the Texas. The Texas Rangers are in everything, okay? So Marte is 31, 295, 23 home runs, very quiet. You think he's on the decline, but he's not. All things considered, it could be a trade or bust for Arizona. Okay, so speculatively, though, the Red Sox, Jackie Bradley could also be a target. Now, Mike Hazen, the Arizona general manager, is familiar with Bradley from Boston, as he was part of the team's front office when they drafted Jackie Bradley, 40th overall in 2011. So anyway, we'll see. Marte and Bradley each earn the same amount of money, about $12 million next year. So they should barely, and I mean barely, fit into the Arizona payroll. Okay, but we'll see if Arizona is willing to surrender the necessary assets to get either one. What the Diamondbacks have to give up, I don't know. They may have to give up Dalton Varsho, Corbin Carroll, Christian Robinson, plus one other decent player, but we'll see. Marte's got 2 seasons remaining on his contract. His defensive metrics, believe it or not, were below average, so maybe he moves to left field. We'll see. Don't forget, they got Peralta out there in left field, but he's played right field and has a strong arm. So we'll see what happens there. The centerpiece of this trade could also be Arizona's catcher, Carson Kelly. But Arizona has no shortage of catching options after signing Stephen Vogt and would be trading the offensive-minded Kelly to bring in 2 All-Stars. They could probably get Marte and Keon Keela. Okay? So we'll see what happens there. That's something that the Diamondbacks, who have a glut of outfield and pitching prospects that they could send to Pittsburgh as well. Dalton Varsho, that's the big name that they want, okay? So we'll say Pittsburgh absolutely has got a need for a catcher or 2. There you go. Now, so much has been said. I mean, this has been one of the hottest off seasons. Don't forget, as I've told you, sometimes when there's nothing to talk about, they make up a lot of stuff. Right? They really do. Carson Kelly, yeah, he's from the Old West, no question. Great to see so many people in the chat room. The Itch is here. Good morning. Tito Luna, Ray K, holy cow, and he's from down the block. Ray K, I could go outside and I could scream. I go on the golf course, the 7th hole. I could do the podcast, and Ray K could probably hear me. Okay, there you go. So anyway, one of the things that people are writing about, and I don't know what to say. All I know is I've made it my business to try to get some information, and that is Nolan Arenado. Now, here's what I've learned. A number of people have dismissed the Nolan Arenado stuff, and it's called clickbait. You know what I mean? You make shit up. Clickbait. You just want the clicks. You want people to be interested. But here's what I have found out. There's a possible trade being explored. I don't know with who. There are many aspects to this story, and I haven't gotten one. Okay, but I've learned from reliable sources that, yeah, there's a possibility, okay? His no trade clause is obviously a major factor in any possible trade. And here's an opinion that Arenado would only agree to a trade if he thought it was headed to a team with a legitimate chance to win and make the playoffs consistently. So it's of the opinion of many that Arenado will not likely be traded this winter. However, you can't be shocked if he traded now or before his opt-out comes at an end of the 2021 seasons. Okay? So let's just remember that. That's Nolan Arenado. Unbelievable. Notice how the talk about Mookie Betts has quieted down a little bit. All right, on to a couple of signings that I know you've seen. $3 million for Hill plus incentives. That could take him a Rich Hill. Could take him above $10 million. Now keep in mind, I have a poll up on Twitter that's getting a lot of play. Where will David Price go? We all know that the Red Sox trying to get under the luxury tax. We all know that, and I think they want to keep Mookie Betts. Speculation has David. I said St. Louis would be the team, but keep in mind the Dodgers now have lost Rich Hill and Hyun-Shin Ryu, two left-handed pitchers. So Rich Hill on the Minnesota Twins. I mean, he could earn $12.5 million. Okay. He was a good, I don't know. I would say he's American League only. But maybe a $2 or $3 pitcher because he's on a good Minnesota team. I talk in terms of dollar values because to say what round doesn't matter. It's a low round pick. A speculative pick at best. Now, Homer Bailey also signed. He was a good fit in his last 8 starts as an Oakland Athletic, helping them solidify a wild card. He had a 2.25 ERA, 7 walks, 48 strikeouts in 48 innings. And that included 2 starts against the Yankees, 1 against the Astros, and 1 against the Twins. But keep in mind, Minnesota is going to begin the season without Hill, who's got to rehab his elbow. They're going to begin the season without Pineda on suspension. So Homer Bailey is going to join Berrios and Odorizzi. So, and there's a big upside for Hill. And I don't know. We'll see. So the Twins are guaranteeing $10 million to get innings from Homer Bailey and Rich Hill. Okay? And that's pretty good. So now, the Bailey 13th year in the major leagues. We all know about him, okay? But he pitched pretty well at the end of the year. So we'll see how Homer Bailey works out. And Rich Hill. So if you have a need for speculating, those are 2 pitchers that you may want to speculate on. Now, in speculating, I got a speculation here. This Shigo Akiyami, who we talked about at length the other day. There's one other aspect to this trade that very few people are talking about. And if J.R. Matz was here, I would have talked about it earlier, but I've been waiting for him to come in. I have a very suspicious feeling. Southpaw is here, good morning. That this trade, Brooks is here. Speaking of Cincinnati, there you go, Brooksy. All right, this trade, this little acquisition of Akiyami could mean that Cincinnati is ready to get Francisco Lindor. And here's the reason why. I know, and I've talked about this, and it's been written, this is no secret. Cleveland loves Nick Senzel, whatever his name is, okay? George is having a fight with Guess Blanche, okay? But the point is, morning, Cincinnati. It could be that the Reds, if they can get Nick Senzel and a couple of other prospects, this deal now for Akijami, whatever his name is, this deal, this acquisition could lead the way if Cleveland is really interested in trading Francisco Lindor. Could wind up in Cincinnati. So how about that one for you? Okay. As I said, we're going to talk about. In a few minutes. We're going to talk about the Atlanta Braves, but the Texas Rangers are also in the hunt for Nolan Arenado. But here's the thing. But they're hedging a little bit. Word is out now that Todd Frazier is going to be looked at very strong by Texas as they begin to feel that maybe Arenado is not the guy. The Rangers have reached out to the free agent infielder Todd Frazier, who turns 34 in February, and that would give the Rangers a right-handed power hitter to play third base. If they can't get Arenado, we know that's a long shot. Or a right-handed first baseman to pair up with Ronald Guzman. So keep an eye on Todd Frazier. Going from the lowly, and that's the, there's some people that think that the Mets' real name is the New York Lowly Mets, because every time we talk about the Mets, we say the Lowly Mets, right? Senzel plays for Cincinnati. Right. Andrea, who do you play for? All right, so anyway, so that's the comic. Mal Pal is here. Good morning. This is great. We got the whole gang is coming back. All right, that's fantastic. We got Mal Pal and Greg and Brooks and Chris and Dale and Dennis and DK and Dunky and Georgie and Tito and Ray. Ray is back with a 1-year-old. When Ray last was here, his kid was just being born. Now it's a year, unbelievable. So anyway, Nick Senzel, keep in mind that could be something that very well it's been talked about. I mean, a lot. Okay, so Todd Frazier against lefties, he hit .294. Todd Frazier hit .294 in New York in Citi Field. Muscle strains have been an issue for the last couple of years. Muscle strains actually have cost him about a month in each of the last 3 years. So a platoon role would be ideal, and that would really make sense. He could pair with Guzman, who was not very good against left-handed pitching. Guzman's an excellent fielder. He could also be used as a defensive replacement late in the games. And, okay, so let's see what happens. Okay? Let's see how that works out. Other teams connected with Arenado, for Nolan Arenado, Atlanta, the usual teams. The usual teams. But it might make sense for Frazier to wait out the Arenado situation a while longer. If the Rangers don't end up with Arenado, his bargaining position as an everyday third base option becomes a lot stronger than if he was to agree on a deal on the possibility of being a part-time player. So it's not going to happen right away, but let's see what does happen right away, okay? Let's see what does. Now, the Atlanta Braves. So I would really take a good look. If you're drafting now, you want to speculate. Todd Frazier's not going to be drafted very high if he's drafted at all. Okay, Todd Frazier will not. So just hang in there, take a speculative pick on Frazier if you're drafting now, and keep him on your list of players to be drafted. Now let's talk about our team of the day, and that's the Atlanta Braves. And so far, with all the players that are signed, let's say the Braves have signed 7. They've signed Markakis, they re-signed Tyler Flowers, they signed Will Smith, they signed Chris Martin, they signed Travis d'Arnaud, remember that, and they signed Cole Hamels. So they've made enough moves, okay? They really made the moves. Now, when they negotiated a deal for Dallas Keuchel, and they lost him, it's going to be pretty interesting. The Braves weren't expected to keep Keuchel, and by replacing him with Hamels, and I think Cole Hamels is going to be a pitcher this year. Okay? I do think we all think of Cole Hamels as the washed-up guy. No way, okay? No way. So, look, Keuchel served a much-needed role with Soroka and Fried, and Max Fried could be a breakout pitcher this year. If you were with us on New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve, you heard Andy and the gang talk about Max Fried as being a potential breakout player. So we'll see how that goes. By the way, as far as the odds are concerned, okay, for the Atlanta Braves, if you want to invest in the Atlanta Braves to win the 2020 World Series, they are 12-1. 12-1. I mean, you want to put up $500? Look, you want to put up $1,000 to win 12,000? That's not too bad. You want to put up 500 to win 6,000? That's not bad either. By the way, the teams, if you really want to speculate in Vegas, there are 3 teams that are 1,000-1. Would you put your money on the Baltimore Orioles and the Detroit Tigers? They made a couple of acquisitions. How about the Miami Marlins? So those are the teams that are 1,000-1. San Francisco, 2 teams that are 500-1 would be Kansas City and Seattle. Okay, teams to win the National League pennant. Atlanta is 5-1. I would much rather bet Atlanta to win the National League pennant at 5-1 than to bet than the World Series at 12-1. It's not bad odds there. That is a good bet. Okay, that is a good bet. That's a great bet. How about that one? Okay, so and as far as the long shots, the Marlins are 500-1. They're in a tough division. There's no question about it. Later on, we'll have some under-overs on the amount of wins that teams are projected to have. So let's take a look at the Atlanta Braves now. Travis d'Arnaud, Tyler Flowers, and keep in mind they have a kid that you got to watch. His name is Alex Jackson. Now, I saw Alex Jackson in the Arizona Fall League, okay? And he made his big league debut back in 2019, but he went 0 for 13. He had a 4-game, he played 4 games. But in Gwinnett, he posted a .229 batting average. He showed a lot of power. He can hit 28 home runs, but he strikes out well over 30% of the time. So he's got some strengths, got some weaknesses, but Alex Jackson is someone, if he cuts down on his strikeouts, he could wind up being something eventually. However, the team traded to get Travis d'Arnaud. Well, they got him. And Tyler Flowers, he's going to be in AAA in Gwinnett without a question of a doubt. Okay? He's somebody who they were counting on, but he has drifted off a little bit. But once again, 28 home runs in Gwinnett in just over 300, something like 340 plate appearances. All right? So keep an eye on this kid. As I'm keeping an eye on everybody in the chat room, good morning to you all, and thank you so much. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. Scooter Gwinnett, that's where he belongs. Seattle, 5. Oh man, George is throwing out some stuff. Yeah, he was a Little League World Series hero. George throwing out some great numbers. Okay, and we'll see. Now, as far as keeping up with the Braves, you really to invest in Travis d'Arnaud is a little bit of a speculative pick, only because Tyler Flowers is going to get his playing time. But catchers historically now aren't getting the at-bats anyway. So Freddie Freeman, we know how solid Freddie Freeman is at first base. Ozzie Albies. Wow. Ozzie Albies has been known to go for a lot of money in fantasy drafts. There's a couple of question marks. One of them is his speed. All right, one of them has been the speed. Ozzie Albies last year stole 15 bases, got caught stealing 4 times. That was Albies. He finished as the 5th best second baseman. There's something called there's a couple of guys who do evaluations, and he's rated fifth. All right, from last year, you had Valor, Marte, LeMahieu, and Eduardo Escobar ahead of him. But Albies could be the guy on top of the list in 2020. He has had 2 full seasons as a big leaguer, all right, before his 23rd birthday. And every year, he shows a little progress, okay? He's missed only 6 games over the last 2 years, so very dependable. And he's made a lot of his playing time, but it's still, here's the thing. He still does not have the confidence and needs a little help with his technique and when to run and all that stuff. And his speed doesn't match his stolen base total, let's put it that way. 15 steals in today's day is the new 25, right? Okay? So, still, he had a 47-point jump in his on-base percentage, and he only had 2 more stolen bases in 2019 than he did in 2018. But here you go. Albies and Acuna. These are the 2 guys that are going to lead the Atlanta Braves to a lot of success, okay? And I would go the extra dollar, whatever you're thinking of. Ozzie Albies, to me, could be a big player. Projected to hit about 280, 25 home runs, and 20 stolen bases. That is pretty freaking awesome. You got that? That's my predictions on Albies. Over at shortstop, Dansby Swanson. Wow. Dansby Swanson. He was a disappointment for a while. Then he became very exciting. And then when he came off the injured list last year, he had only 150, no home runs, 1 steal in 19 games. Had a bad stretch. And Hetcher Ferrara became the shortstop. For Swanson, I'll project a 250 batting average, 16 to 18 home runs, and double-digit stolen bases. I'll tell you what, his offense improved last year, but his defense went a little backwards. He did hit 17 homers, okay? Did hit 17, and he had 10 stolen bases. So, he hit 17 home runs. I think he's going to improve on that. He's 25, but his production is still, because the shortstop position is pretty good. He was below average, okay? So he was much more aggressive. You could see him he was tentative in his first couple of years, tentative. But he was aggressive last year. Strikeout and walk rates didn't change, but still, he hit second in a lot of the games. At the beginning of the year, he was in the 8th spot. So watch spring training. I hope you're taking notes. I got a ton of shit to talk about in the next couple of weeks. Watch Swanson in spring training. If Dansby Swanson is batting second in the order, go the extra dollar for him. If Dansby Swanson is batting down in the order, I would not go the extra dollar for him. How about that? Okay? How about that? By the way, if you have a guy getting dealt to the other league, you could be screwed. That rule is the stupidest rule. That's the dumbest rule I've ever heard in fan. And I know a lot of, I used to be in leagues like that, but quite frankly, every one of my leagues stopped it. We stopped it. So, watch out for Albies. I think it could be his year. Watch out for Dansby Swanson as well. Third base, you got, they're going heavy after Donaldson. They're going heavy. Yoan Camargo, he's a switch hitter. But the guy to watch out for is the guy who came up last year with such a bang and the pizzazz, and that's Austin Riley. You really have to watch out for Austin Riley. I project Riley to hit about 265, 25 home runs. He won't steal any bases, but after he got called to the majors in the middle of May, 9 home runs in his first 18 career games. Then the league made adjustments. He hit 169. He struck out about 41% from the beginning of July until he went on the injured list. So he made it back in September, but he was nothing. Nothing. He was left off the championship roster, by the way, okay? But, okay, remember how good he was at the beginning? This is another guy. If he, look, swing and misses, that's bad. He's not even a lock. Not even a real lock that he will break camp. Especially if Donaldson is signed, Riley starts the year in AAA. He will not be an outfielder. Won't be. And Camargo is really just a utility player. But we'll see. They're going all out to sign Donaldson. Outfield, you got Nick Markakis and Adam Duvall. Really don't think I have to talk about either one of them. Ronald Acuna is only getting better. Ronald Acuna is exactly. And Ronald Acuna, now here's the question to the chat room. Who would you rather have? Ronald Acuna as your number one pick or Mike Trout? Who's your number one pick? Let's see what the chat room says. Number one pick. Will it be Mike Trout or will it be Acuna? All right, if you don't mind, appreciate if you're able to do it. Let's put it in there. Andrea says Acuna. Okay? Andrea says Acuna. Okay, that's it. That's what we do. Once again, Brooks and Greg and Dale and Chris and DK and Donkey and George, Malpal, Tito, Ray, Kevin. Kevin, you'll be here at what time? 11 o'clock, Kevin? Are you 11? Are you 9? I don't know if Orny's coming on, but just put your time in down if you don't mind. I believe Kevin will be here at 11. But look in the chat room. He'll be putting it in there. Okay, so, or maybe even Christian Yelich. George reminds me, Christian Yelich is also a potential. Now, some of the other things you want to investigate. Now, keep in mind, the pitching staff. Mike Soroka, I don't know. It's hard not to get excited when you think of Mike Soroka. What Mike Soroka did last year was one of the absolute highlights of the entire year. One of the absolute highlights of the entire year. Soroka was amazing. Mike Soroka was amazing. Impressive. Rookie year, but he finished second behind Alonso, that's Peter Alonso, for the National League Rookie of the Year. He had a right shoulder injury, ended his 2018 season, but he anchored the Braves rotation all year. And on the road, he was one of 45 pitchers to throw at least 85 innings. But the only one who allowed only 5 home runs. He had a 1.55 road ERA, fourth lowest among qualified starters since 1969. That's when they lowered the mound, and the only pitchers ahead of him on that list, ahead of Mike Soroka, Greg Maddux 2 times, and Roger Clemens. Holy mackerel. Fourth lowest among qualified starters since the mound was lowered on the road, 155. In his postseason game 3, he went 7 innings, did not walk a batter, allowed just 1 run, youngest pitcher in postseason to go at least 7 innings without issuing a free pass. Now, here's the question. 260 format, $2, $260 format. How much do you value Mike Soroka? Talking about a mixed league. How much do you pay for Mike Soroka? Okay? And Kevin's on 11 o'clock today. Kevin's on at 11. Okay. How much are you paying for Mike Soroka? Mixed league, 260. Let's hear it. I'll start the bidding at $21. $21 for Mike Soroka. This is a mixed league. It is 260 format. We need pitchers, right? You want Mike Soroka? You're going to have to pay for him. I'll leave that wide open. So far, no responses. Mike Sorotka, how much you going for? By the way, Brooks, stock market will open up very well this morning. Max Fried, I think, is going to be the number 2 pitcher. Max Fried, we saw him in the Arizona Fall League, and I can tell you, it's not just about his stuff. You see, this is what I like about Fried. It's not just he's got great stuff, but quite frankly, I sat behind home plate, and I look, stuff. What can I tell you? Okay, I'm not a scout, but he broke camp as the team's 5th starter, and he never looked back. He wound up making 30 starts, 3 relief appearances, 17 wins, second most in the National League. 173 strikeouts, 165 innings, but his improved control, that's what I saw in him. I couldn't tell his curveballs better than Homer Jones or anything. But I can tell Homer Jones, remember him? Anyway, Homer Jones was a football player. Somebody got confused. Anyway, is Homer Jones related to Homer Bailey? That's what I want to know. Anyway, the point is that his mound presence, the way he controlled the game, the way he controlled the at-bats, the way he improved his control, around 2.5 walks per 9. His whole pitch repertoire. He stopped throwing his changeup, and now he's throwing a devastating slider, solid fastball, good curve, and look, his ERA was over 4, not remarkable, but all the underlying numbers, everything, xFIP, barrel rate, ground ball percentage, everything was tremendous. Okay, Max Fried is definitely a pitcher that I'm going to say he's going to be a good one. But how good can he be? And it can be a lot. It can be a lot. So that's Max Fried. We're talking about the Atlanta Braves today. We'll pick a team from the American League tomorrow, and that's what we're doing every day. Cole Hamels, as I said, not washed up. Fulton Newich, he's at a point where you just don't know what you're going to get. I'm not saying go the extra yard. I have a feeling that Sean Newcomb is going to elevate his game. But look, Fried's good. Sorotka, Hamels, Atlanta Braves, they're tough. Now the bullpen, Mark Melanson will start the year as the closer, and that's not Melnick making up Bull Dinky and Poppycock. That is been said. Now with Shane Green and Will Smith, and they got Chris Martin, Luke Jackson, who was a big deal. H.A. Minter was a big deal. Touki Toussaint. Holy macaroni and cheese. Yeah, you got to go for Melanson, but be careful. He can't afford to slip. With Green and Smith behind him, it's very risky. So, yes, consider Melanson as the opening day closer on this team. But remember, he has got a bunch of people breathing down his neck. Okay? Now let's just go through the Atlanta Braves and their wonderful farm system, because they got a good one. Christian, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Patch, whatever. He had 270-something, 12 home runs, 8 stolen bases. He's an elite defensive outfielder. Elite defensive outfielder. He's from the Dominican Republic. Elite defensive skills. A double plus arm. He's 6'2". He looks like a player. I got to tell you, he's developed his eye at the plate. He's working on patience to a point that he's drawing a lot more walks. Okay? So keep an eye on him. He probably won't get called up until the second half of the year. He may not be a big producer, as power is. His power goes into the gaps. He had 36 doubles, 9 triples, 12 homers. Very good base runner, but he doesn't steal a lot of bases. He only stole 8 bases in 19 attempts. So we'll see. Other offensive players, Drew Waters. He's another outfielder. Now keep in mind, either Pat, whatever his name is, Waters could be dealt. All right? Big statistical year across upper levels. Top 25 overall prospect. Hit over 310. He had 7 home runs. He got caught stealing 6 times, but he stole 16 bases. He had 40 doubles. Great combination of power speed as he heads to the Southern League and won the MVP. He spent the month in AAA Gwinnett to close the season. This kid is somebody to watch. His name, once again, if you don't know it, is Waters. Drew Waters. You got that? Okay. He had a terrific BABIP. So just be careful. I don't know if we'll hold that batting average up. His BABIP was over 430. Okay? He's not a great defender, but he's good. Doesn't have a great arm, but he's good. He's a classic left fielder. Okay? Classic left fielder. All right, let me try to give you one more offensive player, and that's a catcher, and that's William Contreras. Now, he had to be tutored defensively, but he's on the door of being a potential big power, big arm backstop. Okay? So he really is. They're really focused on his work. They love him. He blocks well behind the plate, but that was a weak aspect to his game. He was not a good blocker. You don't let pitchers go all the way, but he's got a great arm, a cannon for an arm. Could you imagine having a cannon for an arm? George, what do you have a cannon of? Okay, is it an arm? Is it an elbow? Okay, look, the report doesn't have good footwork, but okay, what else? So look, he's capable of smacking 20 home runs. He could hit you 25 home runs. Okay, but he'll likely open up in the upper minors. Just keep tabs on this guy. Just for a bit, the pitchers, you've heard them all. You've heard them all. The number one prospect that they're counting on is Ian Anderson. Ian Anderson, one of the top youngsters in the game. He was in Double-A, 135 innings, struck out almost 30% of the batters, walked about 11. Ground ball, 45% ground balls. Holy, 6'3". He was the 3rd overall pick in 2016, and he is ready to go. He had 5 starts in AAA. He's 21 years old, and so he struggled a little bit to get a feel for the ball and the new ball. But look, if his Double-A season is any indication, he could be pretty good, Another pitcher, Kyle Wright. You've heard of all these guys for more than 1 year. He's from Vanderbilt, and he had very seriously. Look, if you saw Kyle Wright, you saw Casey Mize, it's pickup. My opinion, it's pickup. And you certainly love Casey Mize. So he struggled at first. He really had a hard time. He was reportedly to say that the new ball, but from the start of May until he was called up for a spot start in mid-July, he had a 3.6 ERA, 1.1 WHIP, and it's a very heavy offense, AAA. And finally, Kyle Muller, brilliant. Another brilliant pitcher. They got 3 brilliant. Any team would have these guys as a number one. 111 innings, 3.1 ERA. Okay? 40% ground ball rate. So if he can maintain his mid 90s, okay, he touched 98 in some starts. His breaking ball's got a lot of snap. These are 3 pitchers that you got to have in your dynasty league: Kyle Muller, Kyle Wright, and Ian Anderson. And there you go. And I got to thank everybody. Okay, tomorrow we'll do an American League team, If you want, just let me know what team you'd like to hear. We'll do them all. Absolutely all. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Brooks. I love you guys, man. Greg, Chris, Gallo, Dale, DK Lush, the Donkey Okie, the George, the Malpal, Tito Luna, Ray K, Kevin Hastings, 11 o'clock, Unholy Toledo, Zelmo. Not sure if Arnie's coming on. So, I don't know, come back at around 10 o'clock and maybe you'll hear Arnie, okay? Thank you all, everybody. I love you dearly. 2020 is going to be fantastic, and I'm going to tell you right now that it's because of you. Thanks, everybody.